Hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It is the daily podcast in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Tony Thaxton from the Bizarre Albums podcast.
That's right. Thanks for coming back, Tony.
Thank you for having me.
And if anybody hasn't checked out Bizarre Albums, you should do so. It's good. We were just talking about it in the green room. Alex has been binging some, and lots of good material there. Lots of good information and entertainment. It's infotainment.
Several Star Wars episodes too.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Because that's all our audience cares about Star Wars. They only want Star Wars things. So
I mean, that's pretty much all I care about. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I care.
Well, hopefully you guys care about Minute 4 of Solo, a Star Wars story, now available on Blu-ray and digital. Minute 4 starts out with Han Solo saying that that's more than you said we'd need. And it ends with Han Solo going to see Lady Proxima. He's going to see a lady.
Goes to see a lady about a thing.
Yeah. Now this is one of those scenes where like it bothers me a little bit, but not enough. Like luckily they just kind of like it bothers me and then they move on and then it's okay. But it anytime you have this kind of a exposition dump where people are like have to outline the complete details of what they're doing, even though I'm sure they've had this conversation a million times, you know what I mean? That it's like, it's not like anytime, it's not like they're new to this whole thing. They've had this plan, they've had this conversation before, but now because they're doing it for our benefit, it's just like, I've got the coaxium. Oh, you took it from the batch that you gave them. Yes. And it's worth 500 or 600 credits. That's more than you said we need. Yes. Now we can buy our way off to, it's like, I know we need to know that, but I think that this is a little bit of an inelegant way of letting us know that, but it does go by quickly. I mean, the whole thing is less than it's the end of last minute, beginning of this minute. And so the whole thing is less than a minute long.
Yeah.
And it
30
does
seconds.
Dump all the info that we need, but it's a little bit inelegant in the way that it does it.
A lot of times those moments stand out to me often, but this one actually didn't. Yeah, I guess maybe it was quick enough. But yeah, I don't know. So, well, you're wrong, is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
All right, that's what I came here for.
To me, it really felt like, maybe this is a side effect of doing things minute by minute, because when you're just watching this in a movie, you're just settling in and everything's going by. This kind of info dump can just be kind of, but when you're breaking down and like, really paying intense attention to it minute by minute, it really feels like one long sentence spoken by one person, but then they just divided it into two different people. Like that means that you can get off this rock. Like they're literally like finishing each other's
sandwiches.
And so it really
totally it should have just been like, look, I took a piece of I took a vial of the coaxium, which means I can sell it for $500 or $600, which means I can, we'll have enough passage to get on the ship and get off this rock just as we planned all along. And should have just rolled off on that whole thing. Like, great.
Or if he would have been like, I got it. And she would have been like, wait a minute, got what? I told you about the coaxium I was going to get. No, coaxium, what does that do? It's like, it's hyperfuel. Like, it'll get us off this, ovary. She doesn't really even know.
A little bit as it, could have done it like, hey, remember that I was going out to do the coaxium? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I remember that I said if I took a thing of coaxium that we could sell it. Yeah. And we could get, how much do you think we could get for that? Oh, 500 or 600. Great. And you think that would be enough, turn it a little bit so he's that's a little bit more of a natural conversation. This just seems like I'm reminded of, I think it was Song who was talking about he hates in any kind of conversation where somebody's talking to their brother and they say like, now you're my brother. And nobody ever says you're my brother in a conversation with their brother.
Listen, we've been married for 10 years, so you better, just throwing in extraneous.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up in New York, I feel that this situation is,
I say that a lot now because I'm like,
do you really?
Yeah, for street cred.
Yeah.
I'm walking around. I'm like, excuse me, I grew up in New York. I'm allowed to jaywalk.
Well, that's it. You've been transitioning from Pete the retailer into New York Pete. That's what
New York
everybody's
Pete.
calling you out here.
I kind of like that.
I'm down. Should I switch hats? I mean, this is a New York. It's a Mets hat, but it doesn't say New York on it.
And the best thing about that is that in New York, people can start calling you L.A. Pete.
Oh,
I like
there you
this.
go.
Let's do it.
And we'll meet in between. There's somewhere. It's like ordering a Denver omelet versus a Western omelet. Where's the line? It's the same thing. Like if I go out to Kansas City or something,
Divide,
I'm like, which Pete is that? I don't know.
The Hellman's Best line, doesn't that go down the
exactly.
Rocky Mountains? But yes, it is an info dump, but it is fairly short and painless.
Yeah,
like you said, it barely takes less than half the minute is taken up with this. So we'll cut you guys some slack. You could have put another draft. Maybe might have, might have tightened it up or at least made it a little bit, like you said, more elegant, little seamlessly working it in there.
Right, and yeah, maybe like we don't need to know the dollar amount as much as what I just said. I want somebody to put all those dollar amounts together and tell me about them. We don't need to. It could just be like, oh, that could get us out of here.
Yeah,
we can sell that to get out of here. So that's all you need. Like, but again, yeah, not too much of a complaint. Just a little bit like,
Then we see something we've never seen before, which is Han Solo confronted by a hostile alien speaking an alien language, and Han Solo tries to wise-ass his way out of it.
How strange.
So
same as usual, huh?
Yeah. I obviously this is a classic Han Solo type situation.
A CHSTS.
As we all call it.
Yeah. I had that in my notes. It's a CHSTS.
It's a classic Chesty situation, but I can't help but feel like I wish his reaction had been a bit different to illustrate that he's not quite the Han Solo who you're going to know. Like the fact that the first confrontation we see him and he behaves exactly like the Han Solo we see in 25 years or 13 years is like that undercuts the fact that you're trying to sell this as, oh, this is an important growth story for Han Solo.
I don't want an important growth story for Han Solo.
Oh, I don't either. I want Cannonball Run, but the fact that they are trying to squeeze this into here by
now wait,
Woody
are you
Harrelson
implying that Cannonball Run is not an important growth story? Yes, I get what you're saying, and I do. Like, he should be a little bit, and he is a little bit. I mean, he's a little bit more naive and more like he's doing the same kind of thing, but it doesn't work as well for him. He's learning what works and what doesn't. That's the kind of the growth,
right?
But yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, but the alien he's confronted by is Mr. Moloch.
I do like the alien. I will say that.
Yeah.
I do think it's a cool design. I like that part.
Mr. Moloch is a male Grindelid. He's a Grindelid. Named in tribute to the Allen Ginsberg poem Howl, which if you read that, they say Moloch like a million times. He's like railing against, like, oh, cruel Moloch. You could almost read it and picture that it's about this character.
Grindelid sounds like someone who is a shut-in but enjoys it.
Are you? What are you saying? Are you're adopting that as you're identifying as a Grindelid?
It's a positive way of phrasing it. He's a Grindelid. He's a White Worms gang.
Yes, he's one of the top henchmen of the White Worm gang.
Which these are. He's the same. So he is the same species as Lady Elaine.
We haven't met her yet. But yes,
because they look very different to me.
It's
I guess similar face, but
I mean, which I like having different. Having a species have the male and female of the species be completely different is interesting. But yes, it's odd that they are that different in this. Although he is covered up in some stuff, but I'm assuming maybe she's more of like a queen. Maybe they're slightly insectoid, worm-like. So. Yeah, maybe she's more of like a queen and he was like a drone. But hey, speaking of, we were talking about Therm Scissor Punch and how we learned about Therm Scissor Punch before the movie came out. Moloch,
Mania.
this is not Moloch's first appearance. Moloch's first appearance, chronologically, was on a Denny's exclusive Topps trading card.
Which, as soon as you started this, I had a feeling you're going. I think that may have been Therm Scissor Punch also.
Oh,
I think they were both in this, but continue.
The trading card set?
Yeah, is it? But that's exciting. I got to go to Denny's more. Maybe I'll meet some crazy aliens. Be like, you.
Do you think
Because I believe
Wars...
there's a Denny's commercial with Therm Scissor Punch in it. It's on YouTube. I'm 99% sure. Yeah.
That's funny that they would have Therm Scissor Punch be a restaurant, in a restaurant promotion when he's like the most disgusting looking thing. You would not want to be
like a lobster that you
across
want
the table from Therm Scissor Punch.
Denny's known for their lobster.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably like the marketing team at Disney Lucasfilm. They're like, wow, Red Lobster's pretty interested in having this. I don't know. Denny was like, all right, we'll double our offer.
I can't help but feel that when Star Wars characters get together, there must be a hierarchy in where you first appeared. Like, movie first appearances are like top tier.
Sure.
So Moloch must constantly be like trying to pass it off that he debuted in Solo as opposed to the Topps trading card promotional Wendy's Denny's set, because that's got to be pretty low on the scale of things.
It's interesting though, doesn't it? Like, this is like not a, it's a tie-in that just happened to come out before. You know what I mean? So like, that? It's a technicality that he's like, well, no, I'm from the movie, but it just happened. This happened to come out.
Yeah.
First.
Or is it the opposite, where the more obscure the place you first appeared, a la Boba Fett?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
He debuted at the San Rafael children's parade that walked down the street. So like, and he clearly became a very popular character. So maybe more obscure is better.
I'm looking now at the complete set, as far as I can tell, of Denny's exclusive Topps trading cards, and there's Therm Scissor Punch and Moloch are both in there, and
what
Mud
about
Trooper.
Kira? Is Kira there?
Kira, Han Solo, Val,
then
Lando.
Kira's first appearance would also be in this trading card set.
I guess so, I guess so. Unless maybe she was in the Decide Your Own Adventure book. But it's an interesting, Emphas Nest, Six Eyes, they're all in here. So it's an interesting set.
What is Six Eyes' name? Is it just
Argus,
Six Eyes?
Argus Six Eyes Panox.
I don't remember hearing that.
Argus Panox. Six Eyes is in quotes.
Yes.
Of
he
course.
really hates when they call him
that.
Stolen by Kira. I'm looking at Kira's. I'm trying to find Kira.
So the actor who plays Moloch is named Harley Durst, and he's primarily a stuntman.
Yes.
He has 26 different credits to his name, but he's been in all the late, the local blockbusters. It must be, I imagine it's exciting for a stuntman to be like in the kind of, I get to interact with the main actors kind of a thing. Do you think they like that? Or do they aspire to that? Or do you think that's just kind of like, they don't really care? They'd rather be jumping through a pane of glass or something rather than wearing a big, heavy mask and things like that.
I don't know.
Probably
depends.
Gotta be kind of exciting.
Yeah. Probably
Also,
depends on the person, too.
He doesn't really do any stunts, though, does he?
No, in
Moloch?
this case, it's probably more just because he's just wearing a heavy. He's almost more like a puppeteer than because
Right.
he's just wearing a big. I assume that's Neil Scanlon's animatronic mask kind of thing under there. So
Yeah.
But so you're saying you don't even count this as a you're saying this shouldn't count as a stunt.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant as in why.
You're
when
saying
they
that you think he's a wuss and that you could take him on anytime.
He should
challenge
have
him right now.
his SAG
Harley
card
Durst,
revoked.
if you're listening. Which, by the way, Harley Durst, good Star Wars name.
That is a good Star Wars name.
No, I just meant that it seems like if you're casting a stuntman in a role, you would have him doing stunts.
Yeah.
That's all.
Maybe when stunt people get older, they're kind of like, if you're a senior stunt person, you get the kind of
Yeah.
The more you're wearing a mask and less, I'm being lit on fire and thrown
That's
down the
true.
stairs.
You don't meet a lot of young people named Harley. So
Yeah.
Harley Durst does sound like a fake name, like someone trying to sound cool.
yeah.
Because you got
Yeah.
Harley and Fred Durst in there.
Yeah.
So I
Like,
assume it's
what are the
Fred
young
Durst.
kids like? Fred
Yeah.
Durst.
Somebody who was trying to sound cool in like 2002 or something
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
or-
Or let's see, who's the other Durst? The one who killed everybody?
Robert.
Robert Durst?
Who just died himself.
Hmm.
Goodbye. funny man.
Well, the body of Moloch was
Jake.
was Fred Durst, but the voice was Andrew Jack or Major Emmett himself, the dialogue coach who also did some voice acting throughout the Disney features and
Is he
sadly
the guy with
passed away.
white? Is he the rebel guy with white hair?
Yeah, kind of like long hippie looking guy.
silver fox
Mhm.
kind of guy. Okay, that would be a fun job. I'd like to be a dialect coach.
Hmm.
That seems like
Okay,
it would be.
start working on it.
Yeah,
All right.
do it.
Do some voices. Do some funny voices now.
I'll do that, laddie.
There you go.
Right there.
Um,
Higher.
and guess who's with Moloch?
Who's with Moloch?
He's got two friends with him. Friends. I don't know. Yeah, Rachel and
Desmond.
now it's Moloch's two henchmen here are Rebolt and Psych.
Wow, these sound like GI Joe villains. now.
Yeah. Rebolt I think is the one that is actually doing the harassing at first, the one that hits on Solo and is telling him like, come on, like, we're going to go see Proxima. But there's Rebolt and Psych. Rebolt spelled exactly how you would spell Rebolt if you were reattaching a bolt to something.
They call him that because he's terrible at bolting.
Yeah. Anything he does has to be rebolted. He was played by an actor named Ian Kenny, who's in a handful of things, a young British actor, as far as I can tell. And then I can't find maybe this is appropriate. I can't find any information on Psych. Like if you look up Psych's Wikipedia page, lots of information about the character, but there's no behind the scenes information about the actor. And then I go to IMDb to look for the character name. You find Rebolt, Psych not listed.
Too slow.
So yeah, I was like, oh, let me look up Rebolt. Okay, let me look up Psych.
These Star Wars stories are seriously lacking in behind the scenes things.
No surprise, given
which I think is intentional.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I want it so bad. I eat up making of Star Wars things, maybe even more than the movies.
Yeah.
I will watch every single documentary that they ever put out for those, and I want someday, not even like those official ones that come on the DVDs or anything. I almost just want like someone to make just a full length documentary on this movie, like what went down with Lord and Miller and all of that, and what the story was going to be and how much changed, and fascinated to know what all went down.
Well, they're doing a this mini series called The Offer, which is about the making of the Godfather movie. The original Godfather movie, and I would love to see a like basically them do the making of Star Wars, but have it be played by actors and all the behind the scenes stuff. I think that would be a terrific amount of fun. Get the guy with the boom mic there, the guy with the little pink shorts, and the whole gang. So let's do that. Maybe this Godfather one will kick off a whole series of
totally.
All right, so to-do list, make this documentary. You become a dialect coach. Anything else on the list right now?
And Pete changes his name to New York Pete.
Yeah, that's right. All right. We got a big weekend, guys.
Well, I wanted to go through. There is, in lieu of an official behind the scenes text, any behind the scenes stuff. John Kasdan, co-screenwriter, a while ago in 2018, tweeted, he's like, all right, when Solo was released on Blu-ray and digital, he said, well, in lieu of a commentary, since there's not commentary track, like, here's 53 random factoids and notes about the making and writing. And so he listed just basically, 53 bullet points on this thing on Twitter.
You're gonna give them to us all right now?
No, I'm just going to do the ones that we're up to. I'm going to
okay.
keep using this hopefully as we go on. But
Nice.
Fact 1, the character Han Solo first appeared in
yeah,
The Topps trading card series.
only available at Denny's. But one we mentioned is that Lawrence Kasdan, who was originally tapped to write it and then brought in his son and a couple other people who jumped in there. He originally conceived of the notion of a Dickensian-type childhood for Han and had the character of Kira in there at the beginning. Again, I think she was more of an alien at first, and then talking about where we're at now, pretty much. The name, The White Worms, is of course an homage to a thoroughly mediocre Bram Stoker novel, The Lair of the White Worm. Kasdan's words, not mine. In the original script, they were not worms at all, but described as well-dressed vampiric albino aliens, a la David Bowie in The Hunger. Once C and P, who's C and P? Is that
Key and Peele?
There you go. Is that Miller and Lord and Miller? What are their first names? Chris
Cord and Pillar.
Yeah. Once C&P got involved, they became actual worms. Mother Proxima's design evolved through the production. The element that stuck from the very beginning was their sensitivity to light. So we'll see that down the road a little bit, but we'll keep referring, hopefully, because this is more or less in chronological order of the movie. This Kasdan's bullet points. So there you go. I can't offer much in the way of behind the scenes, but I can offer that.
You have 50 bits to tell us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Denny's exclusive.
We don't see Lady Proxima yet in this scene, do we?
Not in this scene, no. They're like, all right, you're going to see Lady Proxima.
So this is kind of like I guess I would call this is a somewhat of a science fiction trope, this like child city of having like a futuristic place where there's a bunch of street urchins and live and stuff like that. I was trying to think of if you can name some of your favorite child cities from various fiction shows or movies. Like in Mad Max 3, they have the kid he finds that child
right
place with all the kids. Can't think of no. All right. Star Trek.
Bugsy Malone.
What?
Isn't that movie with all kids in it?
What was that? Big Shots, right? That was like a movie about kid mobsters.
Oh, really? Was that another one? That's the whole genre unto itself.
Yeah.
Because didn't one of the Blade Runners have like a child orphanage in it too?
Could be.
I thought the new Blade Runner had like a child city.
So you said Star Trek because both of those are kind of like mediocre.
Yeah.
Both of those. The two that come to mind from Star Trek: The Original Series was Miri and The Children Shall Lead, and neither one is fully satisfying. They're both occurrences where like all the adults died for two different reasons, and
right.
Neither one is a great episode. They have different things going on in them, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example.
Are there any Star Wars children who don't grow up in complete misery? I guess Luke and Leia.
Padme.
No. Padme, yes, that's right. She was.
She grew up in the lap of luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went to summer camp with Paolo. Yeah, there's got to be a few, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess Leia grew up in the lap of luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tragic origins.
Wald had it good.
What'd you say, Wald?
Wald probably had it good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Wald Greedo. I got not furious, but I was baffled the other day. Someone posted a screen cap of the scene in Phantom Menace where they're all walking into the hangar and Wald is hanging on the back of the EOP, or Wald's trying to get off the EOP and he's hanging from it. And someone did a screen grab showing Wald hanging, and they said, "Oh, look, you can see there's a Rhodian kid in the background." And people were arguing about, like, no one seemed to know that was Wald. It was weird to me. There was a lot of Mandela thing with people being, oh yeah, there was a cutscene that's Greedo because there's a cutscene where Anakin fights Greedo, and that's the only, it was so weird. And I was like, But then I guess not everyone has watched this movie 1 minute at a time and have been as obsessed with it.
Well, even without watching it 1 minute at a time, I don't know. I'm a Wald fan.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like I remember a couple years ago seeing a thing floating around on Twitter where people were freaking out. I was like, people have noticed that, or it was like one person tweeted it and then everyone freaked out. I was like, people are freaking out because someone noticed that in Back to the Future, at the end, the mall is Lone Pine Mall when earlier it's Twin Pines Mall. I'm like, I noticed that when I was like 7.
Yeah.
Like who didn't notice that?
Yeah, they like land.
hole.
They make a beat
Yeah.
out of that.
Anyway,
People be dumb. That's what we're getting at here.
That's the story.
it's our new show.
Yeah. Welcome this fall on CBS. People be dumb.
But so this is I wrote down that this is, you brought up the musical thing. This reminded me that this is like Annie and Lady Proxima is like Carol Burnett.
Right. Miss Hannigan.
They should have had Carol Burnett play Miss Proxima.
Miss
Proxima. That's how I refer to her. Miss Proxima.
Yeah. There's no lady. We'll talk more about because we actually get to see Lady Proxima for a bit tomorrow.
Oh yes.
So we'll talk about her for a bit. Was there anything else that either of you had to say about minute 4 of Solo: A Star Wars Story?
All I have 4-4.
4-4.
I will just throw this in. Just a little fun fact about Moloch, because apparently it says, though it looks like he's a 2-legged creature, he actually has tapered tail segments, and extensive practice has enabled him to impersonate a humanoid walk.
So he has 2.
I know.
segments?
I don't totally understand it. I
think
made a note of it, but I'm like, I don't even fully understand that.
Like he's like a. It's like if a centipede or a caterpillar basically decided, okay, I'm just going to use these 2 legs to walk all the time and bulked them way up, and like these are my legs now, and like had a bunch of other legs that he wasn't really using. He was just walking around on 2 legs. Picture this. Picture a centipede
no
just,
legs,
like,
though.
with just 2 really buff legs. Those are the ones that he's walking around on.
Could he have the other ones just like surgically removed so that he literally only has 2 legs?
Maybe, but this is like intentional. This is Moloch is just using those 2 legs. He's like, I'm walking around like be like a person, but he's really got these other legs, just like 2 really buff ones.
That saddens me to imagine this scenario, because to me it seems to indicate that Moloch is not happy with himself as a Grindelin. And
does he look happy?
Well, no, because
Just
he's not embracing his true self. He's walking around with hind legs like he's a human.
The legs are low on the leg. He's already got. Let's change a lot of other things for Moloch before we talk about his legs. And that's it's not it's body shaming. He can do what he wants with them, but
oh, he can. But I feel like he should accept himself for who he is. And
yeah,
well, that's his decision to make.
Yeah,
True.
Just be yourself. But
exactly.
Consider changing your name to. Consider going by New York Moloch.
In a New York Moloch. Yes, then that is all I had for minute 4. Tony, can you come back for one more episode tomorrow?
I mean, we're 4 down. Why not? Let's close it out.
All right. That's the kind of attitude we're looking for here at a Star Wars party.
Star Wars party.
We are like we said, we're almost done with this week, but hey, if you are worried that you're not going to be able to live without us for another day, why not sign up for a Patreon? StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon. We'll get you there. And we do shows on Saturdays and Sundays. It's every day of the week. You can be with us at least 7 days a week if you so choose. Tony's been on some weekend edition shows. So we get guests, we get just ourselves talking about whatever. Sometimes we don't even talk much about Star Wars. We talk about food and pets and Billy Joel and all kinds of things. So
Billy Joel's pets.
The hierarchy of needs: food, pets, Billy Joel. But go check that out. But before we even get to a weekend edition, we'll be back here for one more regular episode tomorrow of Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars